$60. That's what one bag of summer lawn fertilizer costs me now. And I've bought that same bag every single summer for years. I spread it, I watered it in, I waited for the deep green they promise on the front of the sack. And every August I stood there looking at the same tired, patchy grass I had before. Picture it. A warm Saturday morning, coffee in hand, the sprinkler ticking. You walk out barefoot expecting soft, thick lawn under your feet, and instead you get thin, straw-colored ground that crunches. Again. Here's the quiet force working against you. It's the garden aisle. It's that bright bag with the picture of the perfect lawn and the label that says Step 1, Fertilize Now. That label is the villain of this whole story, and by the end I'm going to show you exactly who wrote it and why. Because I got tired of it. Tired of paying twice, tired of watching the same ground die in the same corners while my money soaked away into nothing. So one Saturday I stood in the far corner of my back garden by the fence where the grass always dies first, holding two different bags and reading both labels word for word, and that's when it hit me. Not one of them tells you what to do before you fertilize. They just want you to open the bag. Most people do three things wrong every summer. They fertilize first, they fertilize in the heat, and they fertilize ground that physically cannot absorb a single grain of it. So nothing changes. The lawn stays thin, the wallet stays empty, and next year you do it all again. So here's what I went looking for, and here's what I found. There are three tasks you must do before you ever open that bag, and I'm going to split them into two clear problems. The chemistry problem beneath your soil, and the physical problem on top of it. And then there's the third thing, one final method, older than every product on that shelf, that stops both problems from ever coming back. I'll name it near the end, because it's the entire reason I made this video. Just hold that thought. But first, let me ask you something that might sting a little. Have you ever noticed the greenest lawn on your street usually belongs to the one neighbor who never seems to be out there fertilizing at all? Keep that in your head. We'll come back to it. Let me start with part one, the problem nobody can see, because it's happening under the surface where you'll never think to look, and it's the reason most of your fertilizer is wasted before it even begins. Here's the surprising part. You can spread a perfect even layer of the best fertilizer money can buy, and your grass can still be starving. How is that possible? This is what I instinctively did for years, and I bet you do it too. I saw pale grass. I thought, it's hungry, it needs feeding. That feels completely logical. Pale means hungry, hungry means feed it. Makes sense. But here's the truth. What's actually happening beneath your feet is a lock. Your soil has a chemistry number called pH, and that number decides whether the food you spread can even be picked up by the roots. Grass wants that number sitting between 6.0 and 7.0. That's the sweet spot where the roots can grab what they need. And here's the part the bag will never tell you. When your soil drifts down to a pH of 5.5, which is incredibly common in older lawns and rainy climates, up to 2/3 of the nitrogen you spread becomes locked out. The roots literally cannot absorb it. It just sits there, then it rains, and it washes away into the drain. So picture what that means. You paid $60 for that bag. If your soil is that sour, you might as well have thrown 40 of those dollars straight down the gutter. The food is there, the lock is shut, the grass starves in the middle of a full plate. That's the reframe. Your lawn usually isn't hungry, it's locked out, and no amount of extra food fixes a lock. So how do you check it? Simplest first, you get a soil test. Not a guess, not a look, an actual test. Your local extension service will test a sample for somewhere between $15 and $20, and some hardware shops sell a basic pH probe for about the same. That is the single cheapest thing you will ever do for your lawn, and it tells you whether every dollar after it is going to work or wash away. Now here's where I started getting suspicious. Because once I knew about the lock, one question wouldn't leave me alone. If a $15 test decides whether a $60 bag even works, why does the bag never once mention the test? Why does step 1 on the label say fertilize and never say check your soil first? And that's the first layer of who benefits from your confusion. A company that sells bags of food has no reason to tell you the food won't work. If you knew your soil was locked, you'd fix the lock and buy less. The vague label isn't an accident. Fuzzy sells more bags. Once you have that number, the fix is cheap and old. If your soil is too sour, too acidic, you spread garden lime. About 50 pounds of lime per 1,000 square feet will start to raise a low pH, and it works slowly over a couple of months, which is why you do it before the feeding season, not during it. If your soil is the opposite, too alkaline, you use elemental sulfur to bring it down. Either way, you're not feeding the grass, you're unlocking the door so it can feed itself. But fixing the chemistry is only half the battle, because you can unlock the door and still find something physically blocking the food from ever reaching the roots. Get down on your knees and push your fingers into the base of your grass, right down to the soil. Feel that spongy, brown, matted layer between the green blades and the dirt. That's thatch. It's a tangle of dead stems and roots that builds up faster than the soil can break it down. Here's what most people think. They feel that soft, springy layer and they think, my lawn is thick and lush, it feels cushioned, it feels healthy, so they leave it and they feed it more. But here's what's actually happening. Thatch is a roof. Once that layer grows past 1/2 of 1 inch thick, it starts shedding water and fertilizer sideways instead of letting it sink in. You spread your food, you turn on the sprinkler, and both of them run right across the top of that mat and off into the gutter. Research from turf extension programs is blunt about this. Past 3/4 of an inch, thatch severely blocks water, air, and nutrients from reaching the soil. So think about the two problems stacking now. First, the pH locks the food chemically. Then the thatch blocks it physically. You've got a shut door and a roof over it, and you keep pouring $60 bags onto the roof. Here's how you fix it. Cheapest first. Method 1 is a simple thatch rake, a spring tine rake with stiff blades. You drag it hard through the lawn, and it tears that dead mat up and out. For a small garden, this costs you about $25 once in a sore back for an afternoon. That's it. You'll be shocked how much brown dead material comes out. And that brings me to the second problem, the one you actually can see and feel if you know what you're touching. Picture yourself down on your knees again, staring at that same sour, locked-up corner by the fence, knowing now that every bag you ever bought was fighting a door that was already shut. That's the exhausting part, isn't it? Doing the work and still watching it wash away. There's a way to stop guessing for good, and it's laid out plain in a collection called the Complete Amish Yard Field Edition, sent straight to your email. Inside, the Amish Lawn Guide shows you why your lawn keeps failing and why it's genuinely not your fault, plus a homemade fertilizer protocol that feeds the soil instead of a bag, and the Amish Soil Guide walks you through precision soil testing that goes way beyond a basic strip, so you know your soil before you waste a single seed. It's every proven Amish natural method in one place, no synthetic inputs, no contractor fees, no guesswork, and you can test the heart of it tonight for free. Take that ordinary screwdriver, push it into your worst patch of lawn, and feel for yourself whether the ground is packed, shut, or open. That one honest check tells you more than any bright label ever will. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. And since this compost and top dressing work belongs in late spring or early summer, right now, this really is the season to open your soil up. Now, let me show you the second thing that's been quietly stealing your money, because it's sitting on top of your soil where you can actually touch it. Part 2 is the layer of dead material choking your lawn from the top down, and almost everyone mistakes it for healthy growth. Method 2, for a bigger lawn, is a powered dethatcher or scarifier you can rent for around $50 to $70 for a day. It has spinning blades that cut vertically through the thatch and rip it loose far faster than your arms ever could. You rake up what it pulls out, and suddenly your soil can breathe again. Method 3 is the one a professional reaches for, and it fixes a hidden partner problem at the same time. It's called core aeration. A core aerator pulls thousands of little plugs of soil out of the ground, each one about 3 inches deep. Here's a test you can do right now. Take an ordinary screwdriver and push it into your lawn. If it won't slide in easily, your soil is packed so tight that roots and air and water can't move. That's just as deadly as thatch. Aeration punches thousands of open channels straight down, so water, air, and food finally reach the root zone. Renting an aerator runs about $70 to $90 for a day, and it's the single biggest favor you can do for hard, tired ground. And the stakes here are physical and real. Leave the thatch and the compaction, and your grass roots stay shallow, sitting in the top inch of soil. Shallow roots mean that the first hot, dry week of summer cooks them, and your lawn goes yellow and crisp while your neighbor stays green. You lose the whole season, and you lose it in about 10 days of heat. Now, before I give you the third thing, the method this whole video is built around, I want to ask you for one small thing. If you've ever felt lied to by that garden aisle, if you're tired of paying twice for the same dead lawn, subscribe to this channel. That's genuinely all it takes. This is where we dig up the mechanism, the label keeps fuzzy, and hand it to each other plain. One click, and you're in. Then let's get straight to it. Because here's the deeper thing I found, and it made me angry once I saw it clearly. Fixing your pH and clearing your thatch, those two jobs actually reduce how much fertilizer you need to buy. A soil that's unlocked and breathing feeds grass with far less product. So who exactly benefits from you skipping both steps and jumping straight to the bag? The same people who wrote step 1 on the label. The confusion isn't laziness. It's the business model. A lawn that can't absorb food is a customer who keeps coming back. And that leads me straight into part 3, prevention. This is the one method that stops both the lock and the roof from ever coming back. And it's the reason the greenest lawn on your street belongs to someone who barely fertilizes at all. It's called compost top dressing. And I want to be very clear, this is not a product they invented to sell you. This is how every great lawn and pasture and playing field was fed for 100 years before the first synthetic bag ever hit a shelf. Here's how simple it is. After you've cleared your thatch and opened up the soil, you spread a thin layer of finished compost across the whole lawn. Thin. About 1/4 of 1 inch, no more. For 1,000 square feet of lawn, that's roughly 9 cubic feet of compost. You rake it in so it falls down between the blades and settles onto the soil. That's the entire method. Now, here's why it works, and this is the mechanism they could never fit on a bag. That compost is alive. It's full of billions of soil microbes and earthworms' favorite food. Those microbes do 2 jobs at once. They eat thatch from below, digesting that dead mat naturally so it never builds into a roof again. And as they break down, they buffer your soil chemistry, nudging that pH back toward the sweet spot and holding it there so the lock stays open on its own. It also feeds the grass slowly, a little at a time, all season long, instead of one violent burst that burns and fades in 3 weeks. So think about what 1/4 inch of compost just did. It fixed the thatch, it steadied the pH, it fed the lawn gently. It did all 3 of the jobs the bag pretended you didn't need to do. That's why the neighbor who top dresses barely fertilizes. His soil feeds itself. And here's the part that made me sit back. You cannot really sell that. You can't patent a living soil. You can't build a business on a lawn that stops needing you. So the whole method got quietly pushed to the back of the shed while the shelves filled up with bright bags and step 1, fertilize now. It was never that the old way stopped working. It's that the old way stopped making anyone money. The groundskeepers who tended the great old lawns and greens never forgot it. They kept top dressing every single year. And now you've got it too. Do this once a year, in late spring or early summer, and a bag of good compost costs you somewhere around $5 to $10 for enough to top a small lawn, or you make it free in your own back corner from grass clippings and kitchen scraps. Compare that to $60 a bag twice a summer, forever. You're looking at saving well over $100 a year and getting a better lawn while you do it. So which one is for you? If you've got a small city garden and a tight budget, start with the $15 soil test and the $25 hand rake, then top it with a single bag of compost. That alone will transform tired ground. If you've got a big, hard, compacted lawn that's been beaten down for years, rent the core aerator first, pull those 3-inch plugs, then top dress the compost straight into the open holes so it goes deep. And if you're the type who wants to never think about fertilizer again, make your own compost pile this summer and top dress every year. Within 2 or 3 seasons, your soil does the feeding for you, and that $60 bag becomes something you walk past in the aisle and smile at. Now, here's the new problem, and it's coming for you the moment you do this right. When you clear that thatch and punch open that compacted soil, you create bare open ground. And bare open ground is an invitation. Weed seeds that were trapped under that mat for years suddenly get light, air, and space, and they will race your grass to fill it. If you do nothing, you can clear a beautiful seed bed and hand it straight to crabgrass and clover. So here's what I want you to do. If you're worried about weeds moving into your freshly opened lawn, leave a comment below and just type the word bare. Type it bare, and I'll know that's your next battle. If enough of you type it, that's the exact video I make next. The traditional way to fill open ground with grass so fast the weeds never get a foothold without reaching for the weed and feed bag that started this whole mess. Because here's what really happened today. You didn't just learn 3 chores. You took back something that was quietly taken from you. The simple, honest knowledge that a lawn is fed through living soil, not through a bright bag that needs you to fail. That knowledge is older than the aisle, and now it's yours again. So subscribe before you close this, because that next video, the one on beating the weeds out of open ground, is the piece that finishes the job. Don't clear your soil and then lose it to the first weed that finds it. Type bare in the comments, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one where we finish taking back your lawn for good. I'm glad you're still here with me. This video gave you the overview, but inside the Amish garden circle, I pick up right where I stopped and walk you through the full soil correction and top dressing schedule. And if you get stuck, you can ask me directly and I answer you myself. Old ways gardeners like you already belong in there with me. Just point your phone's camera at the code on the screen and you can cancel anytime. Now that your lawn is ready, let me show you how to keep it alive through the hottest weeks. So many lawns fade in July from simple mistakes you can easily avoid. That one's starting right here.